We are going live. This Hangout is on air live. So my name is Lisa Nielsen. I am the Director of Digital Engagement and Professional Learning at the New York State Department of Education. And I have with me here today some NYC school tech experts in a variety of different positions at the Department of Ed. I'm going to start today out by kind of going through what we're going to be doing over the next hour. So let me just pull our agenda up. One important thing for you to know, and I'm going to actually do a screen share, is that there's a URL where you can get everything that we're discussing today. So give me 1 second, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And there we go, right there. Okay, so you can see here on my screen that it says shortened link to this document, and I'm going to draw a little circle around that if I can get my drawing tool to work. Oh, my drawing tool is not happy with me, but it's the second line on this document, so it's tinyurl.com/NYC Schools Tech VLC for Virtual Learning Cafe live streaming. If you're watching this, please just take a picture of this screenshot so that you'll have this to refer to later. Once you are on that document, you will be able to get to everything that I'm talking about today. And also, at some point when I'm done speaking, just if I don't remember, I want to share that URL one more time. So again, here, if you're looking at my screen, it says shorten link to this document. So look at that shortened link. It's right, the second line, tinyurl.com/NYC Schools Tech VLC live streaming. So please go to that URL, and that will enable you to kind of go through everything we're going through today. I'm going to go through right now and through that document and go through the agenda to share with you what we'll be talking about today. So, oh, and let's see, I don't want the computer here to make noise, so let me turn that off. All right, great. So basically today we have, I think, 4 experts with us, and each of them is going to share their successes and challenges with using live streaming. When they are sharing their successes and challenges, I would like the people who are viewing today to think about how they might use what they're learning and bring that back into the classroom. Now, I am sharing my screen, and if you can see, it says show chat. We have a chat feature that we can use for back channel conversation. So I'm just going to write something here so you can see how that works. You click on the chat button right up there, and you could introduce yourself. Hi, I'm Lisa Nielsen from NYC. But really, we'll use that as a forum for you to have back channel conversations, for us to get a sense of what's going on as we're going through today's live stream. Also, we have something called viewers on this document. So if you scroll down the document and you're one of the people viewing today, please place your name here, your role, and your Twitter profile, and a question that you want to ask those in the Virtual Learning Cafe. That's where we're collecting questions, and that's where we'll go to answer things that you're asking us questions about. You'll also see right above that, these are the experts who are joining us here today. I am not going to read you their names because they'll each be introducing themselves, and you can look through that as well. But that's how you can find each of them. Their Twitter handle is there as well. And then at the very bottom of this document where it says notes, if you have general notes that you think will be helpful for the group, please go ahead and place them there. If there were some important points made, or even if they weren't quite made and you plan to make them or want to put them somewhere, you can put those there. And important questions asked or answered. And then here's the part back at work. So while you're listening to this, we want you to think about how you will be using some of these techniques back at your own work. So if you could share your name, your Twitter handle, and describe how you would be using some of what we showed, we'd love for you to go ahead and share that there. And then hopefully we'll inspire each other. We also have a section for resources. And last but not least, this is something we're pretty excited about. If your supervisor gives you approval to get professional development credit for virtual learning opportunities, you can go ahead and complete this evaluation. Now, the evaluation asks for a reflection link. That reflection can be a blog post, a document, a video, or even a live stream. Anything you want that you can get a link from, and make sure it's public. Share your name, your link, your email, and if you completed the evaluation. And the evaluation will ask for a link to your reflection. If you have your reflection and complete the evaluation, you will get credit for participating in the 60-minute live stream virtual learning cafe, as well as the 15 minutes of reflection. So please go ahead and do that. And then at the bottom of this document, we have a chat transcript. And that will be the chat that we have over to the right. We will paste the transcript of the conversation there. So that is basically what is going to be happening today. So I'm going to bring us back over to the agenda, and we're going to, I'm going to stop my screen sharing here, and now we're going to move to the exciting part of today's program, which is each of our experts are going to introduce themselves, and they'll be sharing a little bit about how they've been using live streaming. We're not talking yet about the successes or challenges of a particular platform, but just in general. Successes and challenges about live streaming, and then we'll talk about which platform is best for what. So I think we will start with Jackie, if that's okay. And the question we're asking each of our participants is, how have you worked with live streaming, and what have been your successes and challenges? And I'll tell you right now, for many of us, we are pretty new to live streaming, and so we're kind of pioneers in this, and we're sharing with you what we've learned. So Jackie, I know we asked you to put your speaker on mute. If you can unmute yourself and go ahead and share, you have about 3 minutes to share some successes and challenges.
Okay, I'm unmuted, so I apologize if there's any really loud noise in the background. I'll try to keep them quiet here. Hi everyone, I'm Jackie. I work at the Staten Island Field Sports Center as the instructional technology lead on teaching and learning. So starting this year, what I was trying to do is that a lot of the teachers and administrators who couldn't come out to kind of meet and do like PLs here, we would do it virtually. So I would just set up sessions with like, let's say when it came to Google Apps for Education, working with teachers or admins one-on-one, we would just do Hangout sessions. You know, I would be able to work with them on their time, their schedule, sharing resources that way. Worked pretty well. You know, I did it probably, like 10 different times with a handful of people. Usually at most it was 1 to 2, mostly one-on-one work, because it was sort of geared towards that school's specific needs. One of the other things that I did was I was an adjunct professor at St. John's as well, and 2 different classes we weren't able to meet because of scheduling conflicts with the actual students. They had different ceremonies to attend, so instead of having a class with like 5 kids who were coming, we had virtual sessions, again, through Google On-Air Hangouts, where we just sort of had a very you know, informal class setting, you know, screen sharing, project work. Again, just starting this year, trying to figure out which platforms work best and how it suits the needs of the population that we're working with. So that's my story.
All right, thank you. Clemencia, would you like to introduce yourself, make sure that you're no longer on mute, and share some of your successes and challenges with live streaming?
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, we can hear you. Perfect.
Okay, great. Yes, my name is Clemencia Acevedo. I work in the Bronx at MS 325. I'm a special ed teacher. I have been using Google Hangout for the past 2 years. I was introduced to it by my DLC group, the Digital Literacy Collaborative group at Fordham, we held Google Hangout meetings to talk about articles or chapters of books where we would discuss about technology tools that would be free of charge or at low cost. The teachers have been using it and been talking about their experience with those tools, and also talk about how we would be using those tools in the classroom, experiment with them, and then possibly talk about them during our conference every year in the summer. Then after that, I had also Google Hangouts with the people at the Remind app with Jordan Pedraza, where she would interview different teachers across the nation and principals, and they would talk about how they use Remind to reach out to parents, to reach out to students, to make the communication with them more accessible and faster. And then last June, early July, I used Google Hangout with my co-presenter Katrina Gordon to prepare for the July 27th conference. So it was great because we were able to get our meetings done, work on our presentations without having to travel to Queens or any other location. So just the work got faster just by using Google Hangout.
All right, thanks so much. Andrew, are you? Oh, actually, we decided you're gonna be.
I can go last.
You're gonna be the last. So let's go to Pat. Can you introduce yourself? Make sure that you move your mic off of mute and share what your successes and challenges have been.
Hi, my name is Pat. Can everyone give me a thumbs up if they can hear me?
I can hear you,
okay.
but I don't have my. Let me get my face there. There we go. I can hear you.
Thank you. I was getting very acquainted with Google Hangouts on air, and actually, let me take a step back. My school, my staff member introduced me to Deanna Russo. Hi, Deanna Russo. Jackie knows her. Introduced me to Ustream, and we actually use Ustream to live stream our kindergarten moving up ceremony from the auditorium to the whole school, so the siblings could participate and share in the joy of the event of the kindergarten moving up. And then from within the school, we moved to 5th grade graduation with Ustream. And we went to Port Richmond High School and streamed back the 5th grade graduation to PS21. So again, the siblings could participate and the staff could participate in the celebration. One of the things that we ran into was internet connection. It would be better if we had a hotspot because there were a lot of blocks on Ustream and Port Richmond firewall. So it slowed down and it was kind of hard to connect to at the internet. But we got a little bit in and out, but you know, it was okay. And I'm trying to find a service for my school that is very reliable and can connect and won't have the connection issues. But my principal, who's really forward, said that he'll get a hotspot because he likes live streaming. So one of the things that would help with live streaming is a hotspot. And now that, thanks to Andrew, who did that OBS, was it live streaming on how to connect OBS to YouTube Live, that I think that's going to be my next project on how to make it run smoothly. Hi, Andrew. Thank you for that tutorial. Really appreciate that. And,
okay. Sorry, I'm unmuting my microphone and I'm putting my face back. Can people hear me? Can I get a thumbs up? All right, cool, great. So Andrew, why don't you round out this part of the conversation about successes and challenges?
Okay, so as a school tech, I work at a very large high school, and I'm also very interlinked with the other techs from out the other schools. So a common thing that I use streaming for, and a thing where it basically fits perfectly, is another tech may say, hey, Andrew, could you show me how you did this? Or could you show me how you did that? And I'll say, okay, hop into Google Hangouts. We'll do a screen sharing session. It's off the cuff. It takes about 20-something minutes. And at the end of it, we've usually solved our problem. There's a couple other ways that we use it in the building specifically. Sometimes we'll have a project where we have another school set up with their GAF, everything. They'll have a Google school, and then they'll talk to us and say, hey, can we get something going on here? And they'll actually do a Hangout using the smartboard to another school's smartboard, maybe in another state, maybe even in another country. I always thought that was a really great utilization of streaming. Some real-world examples, because I also have a bunch of side projects. I actually work on a programming project where a common thing that has to happen is we have to sit down and we have to actually talk with one another and say, hey, you know, where are we on this project? Could you please update that document? Could you please close X bug? And these kind of things, they happen so much faster in person with the ability to just say, hey, you know what, I really want to show you what this document looks like, so let me just show you what my document looks like. And it is that simple. In this case, I'm just showing you the tiny URL thing, but it could be anything. And just that ability to do that very fast is very, very useful. In the professional world also, I'm part of a small company that does electronic sports or professional video gaming. And we just had a big tournament that we hosted streams for on twitch.tv. We had commentators, we had replays, and we had a charity link where we raised $25,000 for the charity called Child's Play. So streaming is a real powerful tool, and I can't wait to see what education and educators are going to come up with to use next, honestly. I see the power of it, and I can't wait to see what's going to come out of it.
All right, thank you so much. What we're going to do next, before we go into the next part of our agenda, is we have some of our viewers who have gone to the URL, and actually I'm going to pop that URL up for that Andrew shared. It's, if you're coming here late, tinyurl.com/NYC Schools Tech VLC live streaming. So that is where the document is, where you can ask questions and all sorts of things like that. So we do have some questions. I'm going to ask Jackie in a moment to summarize them, but I did myself notice a question from Sandy Nevins, who said, do you think this would be a good platform to provide professional development on Mondays? And well, actually, that could be a question that Jackie answers herself, because this was sort of her idea. So I'll turn it over to Jackie to answer that question and then share some of the other questions that have been coming up for our experts to answer. So Jackie, if you would unmute and share some insights, that would be great.
So it actually came from our Borough Field Sport Center director. He wanted to kind of go virtual, so one morning when I woke up, I thought virtual learning cafe. And I know we had spoke about a lot about live streaming, so that's how this sort of birthed itself into how it could work on the Monday PD days. You know, with even HR here, you know, working with secretaries, they have a lot of online stuff they do. So instead of having them come out here, you know, do virtual sessions for them, and it could work pretty much with anybody. On to some of the questions that we have. I noticed that I think it was Maribel and Tali, and I'm assuming others probably have the same issue. What happens when your sessions are freezing and there are connection issues? What is your plan A, B, C, and D?
Okay, so I'm going to unmute my microphone. There we go. So I'm going to start the answer to this question, and then I'm going to actually pass it over to Andrew, who is a very techie person, maybe the most techie in the group, I'm not sure.
Possibly.
But one thing that's super important is you have to have a fast connection.
Yes.
So if at all possible, be directly connected and not connected through wireless when you're doing this. And I'll turn this over to Andrew to share, because he has, I think, the most technically beneficial insights.
So you want to talk about what's the best setup, like technology-wise, for streaming?
Yeah, and to also avoid like frozen screens and whatnot.
Okay, so there's a very important couple of things here. One is that, like Lisa said, if you can be directly connected to, I'm like looking around for the internet cable, if you actually can get like an actual Ethernet cable to your computer, you're going to have a much better time streaming, much faster, more consistent connection. The other important thing is if you have what they would call I'm going to use this word nicely as I can, a budget computer that has very low resources and maybe an older processor, you're going to have a much harder time streaming. Streaming is a very, very computationally intense application. There's a lot of things happening in the background. I have a MacBook Pro with an i7 on it and many gigs of RAM, and even if I'm streaming, sometimes even then, like, there's a couple little problems here and there, but I've noticed them a lot more on lower budget computers. So I would recommend you find your best computer and hook it up as much as you can with RAM and a fast internet connection to make your streaming experience better. And of course, there's also there's different webcams that you can use. I myself, I use like a document camera type thing that also turns into a webcam, and I can actually just kind of go like this. And it also acts as a document camera, so I can do stuff like that. And just having like the technology by your hands, just having maybe a good webcam, maybe you can upgrade, even get like an HD webcam that has 720p. There's just so many different things you can upgrade to make your stream better. And so I'd definitely say the Ethernet cable, make sure you get a decent computer to stream on, and try and find a newer and more modern webcam that has HD on it.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Those are good tips. And I'll say, well, I haven't been doing things like Facebook Live often or Periscope. I have I've been doing this type of live streaming pretty often, and you really, like, they were asking about the backup plans. I have a couple computers that are actually set up so that if one isn't working, I can just jump to the other one. And I would say before doing your first on-air live stream, practice it a few times. If you can get an office that you can live stream from, definitely try to get an office, because if you're doing it from a place where there's a lot of commotion in the background, that might be difficult or distracting, unless what you're doing is live streaming your classroom to another classroom or something. But we'll get into that when we talk about uses. Does anyone else, Jackie, Pat, Clemencia, do you have backup plans or ideas for success to help prevent, as Jackie was saying, the live stream from freezing up or dropping? And if you do, just unmute and you can start talking, and I'll put the screen on you. And yeah, Clemencia?
Yeah, I would agree that people should try to use like a good computer. I usually use my personal laptop because the computers that we are giving at school, sometimes they do not work well. So yeah, that's a good advice.
And Pat or Jackie, do you want to add anything?
I know it's not a solution, but YouTube Live will archive any presentation. So if you do miss a large part of it, you can go back into it and just revisit the presentation.
Oh, can I chime in?
Go ahead, please.
It looks like Joseph Videtto, he asked me a question. Our school's entire bandwidth is 10 megs. It would likely be out of question for our school. I don't think so. I think that...
Can you make it so your face is showing?
Oh, yes, sir. Sorry, I just forgot what I looked like for a moment.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, so Joe asked, is a 10 megabyte question, is it something that's going to keep, basically, you're unable to stream? And that's not the case. It's just that during certain parts of the day, it may not be the best idea. And those certain parts of the day, and specifically the NYC DOE school system, would likely be when the attendance is being downloaded and uploaded. Usually that's at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day around 2. But your school would be different. It's like they're all different schools. I can't give you a carte blanche answer for that. And to be more specific about what I think are like minimum requirements for your computer, I would say like your 4 gigs of RAM at minimum, 8 preferred, and preferably a quad-core processor. Something like an i5 would be very good. If you have lower than that, it's doable. It's just, it won't be as great. It's still going to be okay. It just will be that much better when you give the stream more resources.
All right, thanks. Jackie, did you want to add anything, or do you want to share the next question? And we'll turn that over to you to tell us which of those two you want to do.
Sure. Pretty much, I piggyback here on Clemencia. I use my own laptop.
Sorry, Jackie, I just accidentally made you go away when I was trying to present you to everyone. So apparently that set off the siren. So you're back, Jackie. So we heard you use your own laptop, then I hit the wrong button.
Yeah, I use my own laptop, and that's pretty much it. Otherwise, the other, options are great. Maybe if somebody gave me a hotspot, then that would be another option to having better internet connection and no streaming issues. So one of the other questions, actually from Joe also, was talking administrators and teachers communicating with parents virtually. How would that work? Is it a good idea? How would we go about using it that way?
So I think that is a great topic for its own broadcast. My short version answer is absolutely. That's a great idea. And my better answer would be to bring some parent coordinators into a live stream who are actually doing this so that they can speak from direct practice about how they have done this. I do know that we do have some schools that are using live streaming for PTA sessions. It's quite powerful. There's a variety of different platforms. Google Hangouts is one that's very effective. You also would want to decide if you wanted it recorded for viewing later or not, and the privacy settings and things like that. So my thought is that it's a great idea, and I actually think it's a great topic for a live streaming session. And if we did that topic, I would love to have people on here who've actually done it. So that's my response. If anyone else wants to jump in, please do, and then we can go on to. Looks like Clemencia has something, and then Jackie.
I would like to try Google Hangout with parents. The question is sometimes principals. How do we convince principals to allow us to do that? For me, that would be like the question.
So I think that what would be their barrier to doing this? Because I know principals are rated on parent or family engagement, so there would be a lot of benefit for it. What would be the downside for a principal? Why would they be pushing back?
Because they feel like it's social media and they are not feeling very comfortable with using social media. I know some principals would not be willing to do it because they would say, okay, safety issues, and also like, they would ask, are you using your personal email address or the school email address? Because in my school we are not, the Google Hangout is blocked, so I cannot use my school email.
Yeah, so those are good questions. I'll answer them from an administrator point of view, and then other people can chime in. And let me just get the screen back over onto me. So I think I want to position this as social media. I'd say, why don't we live stream so that we can involve families? I wrote a post that if someone, Jackie, put it on, you could help me remember to put in the resources, but how to get your principal to say yes to anything. So what you really want to do is think about what your principal wants for success and then position it in terms of how this will help them achieve success. I wouldn't talk about using social media. I would talk about live streaming. I'd also look at the privacy settings and start smaller. Like if you did use a Google Hangout on Google Hangouts regular and not tape it the first time, it's a little bit less fear. Or if you did record it, make sure that it's a private recording and then there's not too much that can go wrong, and start small. But they definitely are allowed to do this, especially when we're talking about people over 13. And the other thing is to find some great examples of success that you could show to your principal. So those are some of the things I'm thinking, and if anyone else has things to add, please do. Then we'll go back to Jackie for some other questions, then we'll go back to the experts for our next part. So would anyone else like to jump in with some thoughts there? Okay, Andrew, and please take yourself off of mute.
Real quick, I would say to anybody who wants to experiment with Google Hangouts in their school, it's actually something that the DOE can unblock for you. You just simply have to fill out a self-help ticket, and you say requesting that Google Hangouts be blocked. I don't know what you have to fill in the rest of the forms. Usually you can just fill it out with not applicable N/A, because none of it's really relevant.
And will you put that link in our show notes in the resources?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Fantastic. Okay, Jackie, I'm going to turn it over to you to share any other, like one more question, then we'll have another chance for questions, and then we'll go back to the next part of our agenda.
I just wanted to chime in about the about sharing with parents. One of the ways that you can do it to get your maybe your administration on board is to use it for like homework purposes. Broadcasting some of the work that you're doing in your class, kind of like along the lines of content creation, using on air, and maybe that way you can kind of get them more comfortable to the whole idea of broadcasting. Starting small again and seeing the little successes that you might have, you might make them feel more comfortable.
Okay, great.
I will move on to, let's see what other questions we have. Oh, from Eileen. She wanted to know, this is a good one, where would these videos be posted? And how much privacy is necessary, still giving students access to these resources?
Okay, I'll start here, and then I'm going to pass it over to Andrew and then anyone else. Different platforms, you can have them shared in different places, so it is really important to think about the audience that you want. So, for example, Facebook Live has you could do Facebook Live from a particular page, and you can make it so it's only viewable on that page, and then you can do the privacy settings so it's only viewable there. However, there are times where you want to celebrate what is happening to a wide audience, and if that's the case, you would do your live stream, make sure it's public, and then you would share it in a variety of social media platforms, and you would think about what the smart hashtag to use for that is. Bottom line is you can lock it down, or you can make it as private or public as you want, and even not record it at all. But for a little bit more technical answer, I'm going to ask Andrew to put his face back in there and chime in with how what goes where, and even some of the benefits of using a platform like open broadcast software.
Okay, so I'll talk about the streaming platforms, and I'll also specify what OBS does, because it's a little weird. So let's start with the streaming platforms. The biggest one that I know of that I think people would get the most usage out of would probably be YouTube Live. The reason being is that it integrates well into a Google tool if you are, and it just works if you aren't. That's fine also. And it also has let's say you stream, and I'm streaming right now. It's going to go onto YouTube. People with YouTube accounts or Gmail accounts can go there and live chat with me for free. They don't have to pay anything. And at the end of it, the stream is archived and processed to your channel and saved for future viewing. Also, YouTube has this thing where it allows you to create little annotations on the actual screen that may be like this big. I'm sure you've seen them on YouTube videos all over the place where you can type little pieces of text, which I found was very useful. Beyond that, there's also Facebook Live that me and Lisa were experimenting with before. It's a little bit not quite as open because it requires you to have. Lisa could probably chime in here because I'm not entirely too sure what it was. Is that I think you need to be part of the group in order to see it properly. So you would stream to, for example, we were using the New York City NYC Schools Tech group. We were streaming to there, and only people that were in that group were able to see that. Was that true, Lisa?
It was, but then I think I was able to find a setting to make it publicly viewable. Okay. So yeah, definitely experiment with the different privacy settings.
Right. There's also, I believe Pat mentioned Ustream, which is a great one also. I like that site a lot because it does the same kind of archival footage for a long time. Besides that, there's also, now we'll actually get into what OBS does because me and Lisa were talking about this before, the unfortunate end of Hangouts on air, which is kind of, not such great news. Right now we're just streaming in a Hangouts group and we're in a phone call, but it's going to wind up being streamed to people and they're going to take away that. So Lisa had asked me, hey, is there a solution to this? Is there an alternative? I'm like, yes. So I'm actually going to share my screen real quick because I want to show you how straightforward this can actually be. Mind the crazy infiniteness. And you can actually see that this is OBS in front of me, and if I wanted to, I can choose to create a source that would be the Hangout call itself in the background. Let's see if I can do that. So it is a little confusing because it's all infinite, and you can see it's like recursing down there, but this could be me actually just streaming to another platform like YouTube Live. the entire Hangout call. It's basically a replication of Hangouts on air. It just gives you a little bit more control. So OBS is a thing that sits on your computer, and it helps you stream from, let's say you want to stream something from your webcam like this, but let's say you also want to have your desktop behind it. Well, that's what OBS can help you do. You can create a capture of the entire monitor in the background, and then on the top right, or wherever you want it, you can have a little webcam screen on the top left or top right, wherever you want it. So that's really what you would be doing with that software. And also, I think finally, last thing I would say is real quick, it depends on your audience which platform you're going to use. If you're doing a one-to-one, very personal thing, let's say you're just doing a Hangouts with one other person, you might just want to use OBS to stream that to a YouTube link. But if you wanted to keep it into a Facebook group, well, that's definitely a Facebook Live job. And if you want to do something, let's say, if you want to get into esports, you want to see what your students can do when you give them OBS and start streaming with slides and very advanced concepts, have them go to Twitch and go that way. So make sure you experiment and figure out which platform is best for your usage case based upon who's looking at it, what you're using it, and what you're going to do with that information later, if you're going to archive it and come back to it later.
Okay, thanks. I do want to answer another question that came in, and then we will move back to the expert sharing. And this was a question from one of our experts. Oh, and let me just make sure I have the right presenting to everyone. Okay. So Clemencia said she wants to know if she wanted to train her co-teachers to use Google Hangout, could that be counted toward PD hours for participants? And the training happens via Google Hangout. So I've read through the regulations for the DOE and UFT, and what I have taken away from that is that you have to get your supervisor's approval. So if your supervisor approves it, then you can do that, and then you should also have, ideally, you would have an agenda and an evaluation that goes along with that. And best case scenario, participants would do some sort of reflection. It doesn't have to be a huge thing. It could be a live stream of what their takeaway is. It could be something that they've written. But so I guess these are the elements. One is supervisor approval, two, have an agenda, and then ideally have an evaluation and a reflection. If you do that and your principal or supervisor says that you're okay, then you should not have a problem. You may want to check with your UFT representative to confirm that that's true. I do know that people have gone through those steps and were able to get that professional learning approved, so I do believe that can work for others. So I'm going to turn it back to our experts, and the next thing we're talking about is which platform have you found works best for which scenario. And here I'd like you to just really share what you've used and why, and how you think that platform worked well. So who would like to start with the answer to that question? Jackie. Okay, make sure you're unmuted. Perfect.
I'm unmuted. So I really only used Google Hangouts for this type of work. So I'm not really well versed in all the others. I was taped on Ustream, but I didn't use it myself. But Hangouts was the easiest. You're able to send the link, and people jump right in, and you're able to share the screen, have the chat on the side. I find it to be, easy, but obviously we'll have a problem after September 12th. That it'll be on YouTube now. So for me, just Google Hangouts.
Okay, great. Pat, do you want to share what your experience has been?
I personally like Facebook Live because it's so easy to use. You just tap on, it's like you just tap on the screen and then you press live streaming and instantly you have it. So it's very easy to use. But again, it doesn't give a live link to people. When you do give a link to people, it's usually to the replay and not to the live streaming, which I don't like. So I have to get, I guess, comfortable with YouTube Live.
Okay, and you know what I also like about Facebook Live is that you can put it in a group that's interested in the topic that you are live streaming about. So for example, we did a Facebook Live and posted it in our NYC Schools Tech group. As people who know me well, I play beach volleyball, and I'm in a lot of beach volleyball groups, so some people can Facebook Live at beach volleyball tournaments to the appropriate group, and then you're getting a very nice targeted audience for your live stream who's already in the group. So that's really neat. And then for me, I have a lot of followers who are educators. So a couple weeks ago, I live streamed Ellen November speaking to education leaders. And that was really cool because hundreds of people from around the world were able to watch who weren't able to attend, and people right here at the Department of Education were able to watch and ask questions, and we had like a global conversation right there while he was sharing, and people who were watching were sharing links and whatnot. The important point that Pat brings up is that you need to let people know in advance that it's going to happen and where they can look to find the link. So one thing I do is I create events in the appropriate platform. So for example, even for this live streaming session, I did an event in Google Calendar and in our Facebook events, and just for myself in Outlook. So the more places you could put it, the better, I think. So let's get some other people's experience. Clemencia, do you want to share which platform you have found is best for what your purposes are?
Okay, so Google Hangout, I'm familiar with it right now, so that's the best platform that I have experience with. But I do want to experience with Facebook Live and Periscope in the future, just to get parents involved. I have a soccer team, and sometimes we go play other schools, and parents cannot come. But I think it would be great if they can watch it from work or at home. You know what their kids are doing, or when we go to trips like to the zoo or to the museum. I think if I can play with Facebook Live and Periscope.
Clemencia, you're breaking up right now. So here's an example of what to do when someone breaks up live. So if one of your so Clemencia, we're going to come back to you when your stream gets stronger. So one of the things that you would do if someone started to break up is go back to them. So as soon as I see her stream jumping back stronger, we'll have her finish that thought. But I do want to build on something that she said that would be super great for students is if they had an opportunity to live stream what they were seeing during a field trip or something. Now, of course, if you're doing this with students, you want to get a media consent form. And the other thing, though, even if you don't have media consent forms, the teacher could be live streaming and not streaming the students, but the things that they're looking at and hearing the students' commentary. So it's not their face or their likeness, but you get to hear your own children and their thoughts about the things that they're seeing with the teacher's device. And the kids would be very excited about that. It's a real low risk, low threat sort of thing to do because you're not getting any kids on film, but the families get to see what their children did that day, and the school gets to see, and the students can share with each other. So that's really a nice way to use live streaming. And Periscope, which was mentioned, is powerful because it goes to Twitter followers, and you can use hashtags. So go to followers who follow that hashtag. So you can have an instant large audience to share your genius with the world. So that's a cool use of Periscope. I think Clemencia, her stream is back. Do you want to just finish what you were saying? We lost like your last 20 seconds.
No, that's okay. You said what I wanted to say.
Yay.
So it's fine.
Okay, great. So I didn't get Andrew. I don't know if you have something to add on that part. And do you want to jump in, Andrew, and share what platform you find best for which purpose?
Personally, the number one thing that I'm doing with the streaming as a whole is trying to help people. So if I'm able to help people by them not even having to leave their desk, then that's great. But streaming kind of solves that problem across the board. What I want to do next is where it determines that YouTube Live is what I want to use. And the reason is that I want a platform where I can modify the videos live when I come back to them. Like I was talking about before, the annotations. It's actually a really important thing. In technology, when I'm streaming something, there are times when I'm going to misspeak or I'm going to say to someone, hey, do this, and that's the total wrong thing. I need to be able to easily go back and modify that archived footage. With YouTube, it's super simple. All I have to do is create a box in the middle of the video and say, oh, by the way, this is the newer instructions. So just the fact that YouTube is like a mature video distribution platform for one-to-many makes me see that as my choice personally, if I want to use one-to-many.
Yeah, I think that's an important point because I've used Facebook Live and I've used Periscope, and perhaps I'm missing something, but I have looked on both platforms to try to see how I can even do some minor editing, and I haven't been able to have success with that. So I think it is pretty cool to be able to use the editing feature in YouTube.
YouTube even lets you download the file later. Let's say you upload like an hour-long stream and you want to edit it and chunk it into little pieces. You can actually download the file and professionally edit on your computer.
Oh, that's cool. So you can break it up into
like little chunks or chapters if you wanted to.
Which is amazing for a teacher who is using that even to teach something in their class. But although for teachers, they might need to convert it out of YouTube into something that students can access, but that's a whole other topic.
Pat asked a really quick question too.
So,
is there a time limit on YouTube streams? No, there is not. I've streamed for 10 hours straight and no problems.
Great. So have I got everyone on sharing their feedback about which platform works best for what? Is there anyone who had anything else to add or that I missed? Okay, good. So we are going to do one more opportunity. Jackie, if you could share if there's some more questions that we can answer. Then I want to remind people that on this note-taking document, there is a place where you can share what you're going to bring back to your work. So please do that now if you haven't. And I am going to share with everybody what you've shared there. But first we're going to go to Jackie for any questions that have come up. So Jackie, over to you.
I think that we covered pretty much all the questions, though I was reading the transcript between Maribel and Andrew. What was it about the schools that don't have Google Apps for Education?
Oh, the librarian question, right? With Marie?
Yeah, the librarian question. How she wanted to know how she can kind of get in touch with other librarians who. Go ahead.
I pointed out to her, I was like, you can't really force basically, if you want to use Google Hangouts the way that everybody in the school system wants to use it, is that both schools have to have it unblocked. That's not something that's always going to be realistically doable. So as an alternative, I would suggest that you either get a cell phone or an iPad or something like that that has external data, like through Verizon or something like that, or you can purchase a hotspot. Or you could just use a Gmail account. Let's say that the librarian in PS123 doesn't have Hangouts unblocked, but they have a cell phone. Well, they can use that cell phone. They can do whatever communications has to happen, and then they can send it back and forth. I also wanted to point out that there is a website for Google Hangouts, and it is hangouts.google.com, and it looks like this. A lovely little website where it actually shows you everything that's going on, and these are all the people that I've talked to in the past. And I believe this works without unblocking Hangouts, but I would double check that. So Marie, definitely try that out and let us know what happens to it.
Okay. So Jackie, if there's not other questions that you've seen, I'm going to jump over to share some of the ways people think that they can use this with their work. Are there, before I do that, or you could just take a look now, I'll do the sharing and then we'll go back to any final questions or comments or feedback. So let me jump over to where that is back at work, and I'm going to be sharing my screen. Okay, let me get to screen sharing. 1 second. All right, screen share. And here we are. Okay, so you can see here, let me make this a little bit larger. Oh, and there's our little chat. Okay, so we have 4 people who've shared so far, and I'll just keep this up on the screen. For our experts who are watching, if you have any thoughts, please, as I'm reading through these, feel free to share, and then we'll go to final questions. So Eileen Lennon says that she's moderating a webinar next month, and she needs all the help she can get. And she puts a link to the webinar, and it's about student learning classroom management. So she will be using what she's learned here, and as she continues to learn when she's moderating her webinar. Marie Vargas says that she's planning a project with librarians from the district, and this tool will be great for that. However, and this is what we talked about, is this the best tool if everyone doesn't have access to Google Hangout? So that's something that she'll need to work through. Jackie said that she and her teammates will be trying virtual learning cafes, which this is our very first experiment of a virtual learning cafe for our Monday professional development opportunities, along with one-to-one meetings, to avoid having people come out of their buildings, because we have 90 minutes on Mondays at our schools for professional learning. So this might be a great idea for that. And Sandy Nevins said, I will be using it when teachers have computer science questions that involve looking at the screen and sharing code, etc. I love that. That's a great way to use it. And then we have 2 of our experts who are sharing how they plan to use it as well. So Andrew says, enabling foreign language students to speak with students across the globe, which is really cool and powerful. And I know that's something that Skype, with Skype in the Classroom, has been doing for quite some time. And Clemencia says, support my coworkers when they have tech questions using Hangout, and then she's going to use Facebook and Periscope for something that she's currently typing, so we'll all look at that together. And what I'd like our experts to do is just share any feedback that they have or thoughts about some of the ways that you see those who have shared what they're bringing back to their work. Do you have any thoughts about something that you've seen there? So if you do, kind of shake your hand at me and I'll move the video over to you. Any thoughts about the ways that people are thinking of using it? Pat, is your hand up? Yes. Okay, awesome. Go ahead.
I would like to go and, since I'm a librarian now, actually live stream with authors and actually get that feedback and towards my students. So to get them really excited about reading and just go to the source of the idea behind the book and just to share out. I mean, with the capacity of live streaming, it'll just make their reading more authentic by talking to the author. So I would like to do that. Or an artist like Eric Hall or something, just try to branch out. And I do also need to give a PD to my staff on how to use OBS with YouTube Live, because it's not really clear on how to do it. It's not that easy. So what Andrew showed us, I mean, it's really nice, and I would like to use that video, Andrew, if you archived it. But I would actually want to use that with my staff and try to get a hands-on on how to implement it into the YouTube Live.
And Andrew, can you put a link to the video that we did today in the resource section of this document?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I think, Clemencia, I think you were going to add something, or you look like it, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yes. What I was just thinking that sometimes I have IEP meetings and the parents cannot come to the school, and I was just wondering that maybe I might want to give parents the option to have a Google Hangout meeting for the IEP of their child.
Yeah, I think that is a really great idea. I think this could be very powerful for parents, giving them an opportunity to, be involved in their child's learning plan from wherever they are. So it just gives one other way to engage with parents. I think that would be terrific.
And the other thing I was thinking, I make use of a lot of technology with my students to complete their assignments, mostly in science and math settings. And sometimes I have to create video tutorials to teach them how to navigate certain apps. And I was just thinking that it would be a good idea if I schedule Google Hangouts with parents and students and actually walk with them how to navigate the tools that I would want my students to use, whether, for example, it's Google Apps or any other tool that I would be using.
I love that idea, and it's also making me think, like, it would be pretty cool. We know we were talking about platform for audience. The most popular platform for our parents is Facebook. So you're making me think it would be really cool to have maybe a weekly live stream for tips for parents on Facebook Live, and you could have a group for parents where they know they can tune in at a certain time to watch those tips or view them later. So I think that we've talked about parents and families a few times. I think this could be a really powerful tool. And then I'm even thinking if you wanted to show like student project of the week, and that would not even share the student's face necessarily until you got that media consent. But parents would be so excited if you were showcasing their student that week. So that could be really cool and powerful. What I'd like to do is give each of our experts 30 to 60 seconds to wrap up with any final thoughts. And then I'm going to share with our viewers how you can do the evaluation and reflection for today. So I think I'll start with Andrew.
All I wanted to say to everybody is that streaming is literally the direction, in my opinion, that education should be taking, and schools and facilities should be using to the best of their abilities, because it is such a time saver and it solves so many problems at once. You need to talk to people directly one-on-one, great. There they are. You need to create video resources from one to many. Great. You can do it with a couple clicks. You need to do a little bit more advanced stuff. The capacity is there, but there's no reason to get overwhelmed. I think it does everything that a school needs and should be used as much as possible.
Thank you. Jackie, do you want to share any final thoughts? And make sure, yep, you're on mute.
I'm good. You know, pretty much it's all about learning outside the classroom walls and making things convenient, because everything's at our fingertips these days with our smartphones. So learning that way, it's just natural and it's going second nature for everyone. So that's why live streaming is the way to go.
Okay, great. Clemencia, do you want to say any final thoughts?
I would just say that I'm really excited about using all this media available and technology to us. It's just making our lives easier and you know, make the student learning a little faster. And I'm just happy that, you know, this exists and that we should take advantage of it.
Thank you. And Pat, if you can make sure you're unmuted and share your final thoughts. You are.
Okay. It is a very powerful tool, and I think we should use it a lot. And it's also for those working parents who do want to participate in their child's life. So this gives them the ability to participate while still being, you know, at work and, you know, and providing for the family. So this is a very powerful tool that we should use, especially with the IEP meetings that Clemencia mentioned. And also this gives a platform for everyone to put in their ideas and comments too, so everyone can participate.
I love that. Yeah, it really embodies what we're talking about when we say family engagement. So thank you so much to all of our experts. Your expertise and willingness to share are greatly appreciated. I would like to share for participants who are viewing this, I'm going to go back to my screen, and I'd like to share with you, let me present this to everyone, how you can get credit for joining us today. So I'm on the document, and I'm going to put that URL up one more time. Whoops, I'm expanding the wrong screen. There we go. So it is tinyurl.com/NYC Schools Tech VLC live streaming. If you go to that document, At the bottom, you can see here there's hot links to the entire document. And at the bottom of this document, it says Session Reflection. And you're going to go there and you'll see the evaluation. I'll just click on that. You can get a sense of what it looks like. It's designed to take about 5 or 6 minutes to complete, but what you want to make sure you do before you do the evaluation is share a reflection. And we have some ideas here for your reflection. How did what you learned during the Virtual Learning Cafe change your practice? What new connections or collaborations are now possible because of this Virtual Learning Cafe? How did this Virtual Learning Cafe make you think differently about the way you approach teaching or learning? And what will you do with the knowledge, understanding, and connections you have made as a result of this Virtual Learning Cafe? So a short reflection, use live streaming, do a blog post, share a document, make it public, share that reflection down here in the document, and then you'll put that in your evaluation. And as long as your school leader has agreed that it's okay for you to use this as professional learning, then you can go ahead and you can get credit for doing this. So I hope some people will take advantage of getting professional learning credit for this. You get a certificate when you're done, I really hope you enjoyed being with us today. I'm signing off, Lisa Nielsen, New York City Department of Education, with a whole bunch of our wonderful hashtag NYC School Tech experts. Thank you very much, and we will be with you next month. Stay tuned for information on that. Bye.